Cool. So today we're going to be talking about Vesta and Vesta placements, what Vesta does, how it works, and I would love if you could drop your Vesta in the comment section of this video. This is originally a live, so I'm going to continue talking through, and we're going to talk about how Vesta can be used by the different signs. We're going to talk about how Vesta can be applied, how it can be viewed for relationships. I did personally come to the conclusion that Vesta can show things like soulmates. It can show things like marriage partners. It can also help you locate or attract your twin flame, especially if you're aware of your personal Vesta placement. So having a good awareness of your Vesta placement will only benefit you and anyone that you come in contact with. Vesta is known as the spiritual flame inside of your natal chart. And this is with Vedic and sidereal astrology. So I'm getting the number here for you. The asteroid number for Vesta is 4, I think. No, I think you can just look up Vesta on astroseekerastro.com. So either one is going to be great, but let's look at Vesta as a energy. So as an energy, Vesta is going to show you your spiritual flame. So this is going to show you your devotion to not only yourself, but your life, the things that you care about, the things that are important to you, and how you can succeed and thrive of them. In them is going to come through understanding how to use your spiritual fire, understanding how to, turn your energy inward and outward. Vesta in astrology is also focused on, your sexual energy, and the sign is represented by not only Virgo. The M in Virgo and the M in Scorpio are actually the same M, but the M in Virgo turns inward and the M in Scorpio goes outward. So when we look at those two signs rule over Vesta. And Vesta, again, shows that strong pull to devotion, being like really empowered and really in strength for that. And you'll also see this with Scorpio dominant placements and sun signs, and as well as Virgo placement and dominance. They are very sexual, and once they commit to someone, they are very devoted. So that's going to be the association for those two signs, as well as the energy, just so you can understand it a little bit better. I'm going to be pulling information from my Asteroid book today. It's called Asteroid Goddess. I'm going to go through the different signs. I'm reading from chapter 9. I'll make sure to, on the YouTube channel, I'll put this book's name down so you can go and get it. So make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to this video. Also, if you're in my Patreon, you'll be getting this video first. So the Patreon members, you'll be seeing this first and foremost. So let's get on to the topic of the twin flame before we dive a little bit more into Vesta, just so that we have an idea of what a twin flame is and what a twin flame does. I feel we have communicated pretty well that twin flame relationships are difficult. I disagree. I think twin flame relationships are challenging to find, but once you create harmony within yourself, the twin flame relationship is very easy and should be the most compatible person and relationship you ever have. When we look at things like soulmates, this is also going to be true. The element that might be different is the alignment of the soul will be slightly different. In astrology, we have seen that Pluto is one of the best representations of the soul. And in my 5-day group coaching, I go over that. In my 1-day group coaching, I cover it briefly. But we really want to honor and respect the soul at that level from the sign of Pluto. Pluto meaning regeneration as well as soul transformation. So when we look at twin flames, it's important to really conceptualize that this person that we are seeking and looking for is more than likely going to be our best absolute match possible. And how we get to them is by studying and really recalibrating ourselves to fit the needs of not only what we want, but what we deserve. And again, I really want to focus on those few things there, because that's what a twin flame, I believe, is most in alignment with. So when we look through the different signs and how to integrate our Vesta placement so that we can attract, for example, our twin flame, this is going to be best dealt with. We'll go through the signs and then we'll cover a little touch of the houses. So Vesta in Aries, these people will work very hard and have a high level of involvement in pretty much everything they do. And it's going to be huge because for them, they have to come up with their own ideas. They really want to structure things in a way that's going to be them pioneering, them leading, and then sharing their power with other people as they go. So a lot of alienation can come through with this particular placement, having your Vesta in Aries. It can make you feel very individualistic, and this doesn't make a difference, especially if you have a different sun sign or moon sign or Mars sign. Everything in your natal chart should be calculated as its own individual thing that's interconnected with other things. So Vesta is going to show us how this asteroid really works for the sign of Aries. And another piece is, when you have Vesta in Aries, you have to really focus on being your own individual person. You cannot copy anyone. You cannot try to replicate other people. Energetically, it will not work. And this is really important, especially when we look at Vesta. It can be used, of course, like I said before, to attract love, but it can also be used for creativity and your devotion to your art. So for example, some Vesta placements, Mary Wells Lawrence, who has a Vesta conjunct her Venus. This person has it in the 8th house, which is shared resources and talents. And this is going to be someone that's successful in an agency, someone who's going to be very good at promoting themselves, and anything that, is attached to them. So that's how we would use Vesta if you have it and you want to attract, the best creative situation, the best love twin flame interaction. When we look at Vesta in Taurus, this is going to be someone who's going to be very focused on their work and energy coming from a grounded, consistent place. And their performance is going to be rock solid. Their performance is going to be, through and through, just always good. And when we have this placement, it's going to bring our spiritual flame into that awareness of our work, and our relationship with our twin flame is going to be something that's solid. It's going to be very focused on being consistent and deliberate with actions. Some other things, the alienation aspect can really come through not being extremely flexible. Taurus placements and Taurus asteroids, or anything floating in that Taurus constellation, is really going to be hard to move because they're fixed placements. But the reason why they're sometimes called stubborn is because it's hard to convince them unless you have a logical, plausible, and a refreshing take on, work. It's going to be very challenging for these people or these placements to make different decisions. Of course, you have to also account for everything else in the chart. An example of a Vesta in Taurus in the 11th house opposed to a Scorpio moon example would be someone who's a counselor of individuals and their sexual problems. A lot of Taurus has to do with touch and sensuality. So when you have Vesta in Taurus, it's going to be someone who's extremely sensual, and they're also going to want to have a lot of physical contact. When we look at Vesta in Gemini, this asteroid takes a different shape when we start looking for our twin flame. Gemini is really focused on the words and conveying thoughts and painting pictures with their mouth. So we want to communicate, a mental interchange of the sexuality. So this is going to be a lot of flirting. It's going to be a lot of, sales, wit, communication in regards to using words that are sometimes vulnerable, and then they go back to protected. And this is going to be very helpful for us to know when we are creating, connections and distance with other people in regards to how we want to speak love and how we want to attract people. So an example of a Gemini Vesta placement would be Evangeline Adams, who has a Vesta in Gemini right next to her IC. The idiom coli is opposite the medium coli. Medium coli being what you want to be perceived as at the highest level. Idiom coli being who you are when no one's really watching you, or when your family's watching you. And she delineated over 100,000 charts, which is very typical of a Gemini. If you don't know what delineated means, it means like read, processed, wrote up, as well as explained 100,000 different charts in her career. So that's an example of being devoted to your work. And when you're devoted to your creative aspects, you're also devoted to your sexual aspects in regards to your Vesta placement. So when we look at Vesta in Cancer, I have this one in my tropical chart. People require the feeling to be needed in order to activate their commitment. So when you have a Vesta in Cancer, this is going to be people asking you for help, people seeking you out, people coming to you and seeking your capabilities, your skills, your resources. And in order to attract people, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be how you attract your work and, your twin flame compatible person. And that fire is going to come through your hypersensitivity. Your alienation can come through when you withdraw. So if you have this Cancer placement, or really any Cancer placements, you want to look at how you withdraw from the world, how you tap out and heal yourself and take care of yourself. Of course, I always recommend, go by the element, and the element will tell you how you want to heal and refresh the body. When we look at excessive amounts of emotional neediness with this sign, it can cause things like paranoia, which can drain the relationship. And I can tell you from experience, this has happened for me in the past, where, a number of insecure interactions will cause me to either just separate or completely just live in paranoia. And allowing myself to really sit with that and learn through that has been an extremely big part in me healing, and also being able to have better, more healthy relationships. So an example is Zelda Fitzgerald Vesta in Moon conjunct Cancer, and this person was, had a deep emotional tie to their family, and this created some instability in the later years. So knowing this gives me a lot of opportunity to make some corrections now, rather than waiting until my later years to allow something like that to happen to me. And this is just the power of astrology, is looking at other people who have your placements. And I always recommend Googling other people who have your placements and learning what they did, so that you can understand what you should be doing. Of course, I do have the group coachings once a week every Sunday, and I also do new moon, full moon group coachings as well. But it's always great to just do your own research and, start to explore by yourself. So when you go to Vesta in the sign of Leo, this is going to be a great thing because you're allowed to creatively express yourself. So in my Vedic chart, which is the chart that I subscribe to, this is where my Vesta is also located, and the one I prefer. You're allowed to focus your work into an aesthetic, into a look, into the way you present yourself, your voice, And I do believe this one really aligns with me. For those of you who've like watched my content, I usually try to get pretty hype, try to get pretty fun, and not to get too serious. I've noticed when I step into my tropical chart, I get a little bit serious, I get a little bit judgmental. That's just me personally. The alienation with this Vesta in Leo is going to come through signs of arrogance or pride. So the way to romance this, the way to really cure this, is by giving and receiving admiration properly. It's going to help you initiate and inspire your sexual responses towards other people and yourself. So of course, giving compliments, being genuine, being yourself, and stepping into your best self every time you pop out, every time you wake up. However, the sexuality here can be inhibited if the reproductive energy is, not going to creative activities. So if you have Leo placements, especially with this Vesta placement, and you're not doing art, you're not making videos, you're not making, things that people can consume, it's going to be very challenging to utilize this energy. And this is why I always invite people to make videos, copy trends, duet stitch videos, and recreate things that you find amusing and fun. Of course, in my 5-day group coaching, I go more in depth on how to do that, but those are some general tips that can help you. Vesta in Virgo, here it says placements really have an emphasis on work and focus. So their drive is really fueled to be perfect in alignment with having enough energy. They don't care about being perfect, they care more about being energetically in alignment with what it is that they're doing and what they want to see happen. So having a Vesta in the sign of Virgo is going to alienate yourself, because you might be overly observant. You might be observed too much and maybe start to make decisions based on your observations rather than your intuition. So that can really create, especially in the bedroom, this can really activate and trigger someone who's going to be more in alignment with service, that wants to give. They want to give head, they want to touch people, they want to serve in the bedroom. And this is more in alignment with that Vesta Virgo placement, because that is something that they really pride themselves on. They operate at that level. And because they have a high level of discrimination in that same realm, it's going to inhibit their natural response. So they might take some time away or take some time to initiate romantically with another person, just because of they want to be able to process things more fully. And this is going to be true about Virgo placements that and asteroids that are in alignment with love. So Vesta is just one of them that really draws the fire out, and it's going to make someone really devoted and excited to be devoted to their partner or partners. An example is Martin Luther, the priest. He was reformative and the founder of the Puritans, and had a deep work ethic. Really, had his Vesta in the first house. And anytime you have anything in the first house, it's going to be the first thing that people really notice and see about you. So let's move into Vesta in Libra. We're in the 7th zodiac sign now. So Vesta and Libra individuals prefer to work with other people versus being alone. These individuals like to gain from their output and their input simultaneously if possible. Libras have a tendency to compare themselves to other people. So if you have this placement, make sure that you are at least comparing yourself to yourself and trying to compete with yourself. There's a need to be recognized as an equal inside of relationships, inside of their work. So when you have this placement and you're in a relationship, in the bedroom, in your twin flame connection, inside of your organization, community, you're going to want to be seen as an equal. So make sure you communicate that to others and make sure that you demand that, or at least create the aura or energy for that to happen reciprocal back to you. An example is designer Coco Chanel. She devoted her life to creating a standard for the aesthetic, a standard for style, a standard for what we present ourselves as. So it's very deeply rooted in Coco Chanel. We can see that very clearly with this Vesta placement. When we look at Vesta in the sign of Scorpio, this is going to express itself as an intense and penetrating manner. So someone who's going to be very deliberate. They're going to be emotionally piercing. They want to know details so that they can, act accordingly, move accordingly, in alignment with the partner, in alignment with their work. And this spiritual fire is going to be drawn from a lot of their childhood. They're going to look at, observations of how they grew up and really do their best to understand how it is that they're going to be able to tap into other people more clearly, more collectively. And they love taboo. They love things that are, separate. One thing that you should know is that Scorpios and Scorpio energy really does rule the world. The people who are born the most are Scorpios. Of course, that has to do with February 14th being Aries season and a very strong, potent time to, initiate in sex, in relationships, in, just having fluidity. Springtime for a lot of people. So when you look at, they have a deep concentration and dedication to people and things that they care about. So when we look, there's a Theosophist named Bassat who has a Vesta in Scorpio, which opposes Mars. Anytime there's an opposition, it's like, I'm looking at you, you are looking at me. I can see you clearly for what you are. So that's what oppositions are, for those of you who don't know the aspect. When we had this, she was a proponent of birth control and was arrested on moral charges for distributing information about birth control. So this is an advocate for having choice in childbirth. And you can see the Vesta in Scorpio really is passionate about sharing information, about getting that information to the right people based on the psychological aspect, which water signs are very deliberate in. When we look at Vesta in Sagittarius, what we're going to see is individuals who are focused on working for something that they believe in. They want to be attached to, a philosophy. They want to be attached to something that's going to be long-lasting externally. So that's going to be the same thing with relationships, especially with the twin flame aspect. It's going to be someone that is going to be attractive in regards to what they know, what they've read, what they've experienced, where they've traveled, how they treat people. And in the bedroom, this is going to be experimentation. This is going to be a spiritual, someone's going to engage spiritually in the bedroom with you. They're going to want to explore things like Tantra. They're going to want to have sex in multiple places. They're going to want to enjoy your body from top to bottom. And that is going to be really, really resonant to those people who enjoy that type of thing. They have a tendency to elaborate on their ideas a lot just because they want to see that they're accepted. And that's going to come from really just communicating and seeing where they can connect with people on that level, that intellectual, raw level. And this will help them also transition into the bedroom to be courted if that's something that, the two individuals want. An example is Alice Bailey, who is a visionary writer and founder of the Arcane Society. She was born with a Vesta in Sag in the 5th house. 5th house is the house of romance. Mohandas Gandhi, a spiritual political leader in India, also had a Vesta conjunct Saturn. Saturn rules over the ideas of boundaries and freedom, restrictions and resourcefulness inside of, situations. So, even though Mahatma Gandhi was married, he remained celibate for many years to impose celibacy upon his sons. So he had this deep spiritual attachment to his celibacy as well as his sexual life. When we get into Vesta in Capricorn, this is going to be an individual who works best in a structured, disciplined fashion. So if you have spiritual fire or spiritual alignment with yourself, this is going to be something that's going to be a wonderful presentation of the work that you are motivated by and the personal accomplishments that you have created for yourself and for other people within your organization. The ability to formulate and execute plans is going to be what makes this sign very successful. It's going to be what other people see as, someone who adheres to the rules and regulations, and it's going to help them, align more deeply in the bedroom with having self-control. This person would also really enjoy tantra. They would enjoy, courting themselves and other people in this way that is, very structured, very strategic, less spontaneous. They are extremely committed, and they love to honor a relationship, and they also would love to honor and respect another person's body and vessel. So when you're courting this type of person, whether they're your soulmate or twin flame, you really want to honor and praise their skin, their body, their self-care routine, and really acknowledge that, just because it's going to make them and help them be more attractive and attracted to you. Some disciplinary things. So this person might like bondage more, I would say, just because that restrictive Saturn placement really enjoys tying people up, possibly even hanging them, possibly hanging them up from a contraption, not like negatively, but even like up against the bedroom thing, like just really anything that has that constrictive aspect is going to be very attractive to this person, and it's going to draw out that fire for them. An example is Walter Mondale, who has a Vesta in Capricorn Vesta in the 11th house. Vesta in Aquarius, this person's going to be, really attracted to the humanitarian. They're going to be really focused in on people who take care of people who take care of themselves and other people openly, because it is in that top part of the natal chart, the 11th house. Aquarius loves to be seen as someone who's for the people, shares ideas, thoughts. They're gonna have a strong detachment from personal topics because they want to get the job done. They want to communicate things. In the bedroom, this could be a detachment from emotions if they are not prepared to go there with you. If they are prepared to go there with you, they are more than likely ready to fully commit to you at that point. And this goes also, of course, with Aquarius placements, but specifically in the love planets. When we talk about detachment, they have to separate themselves because they do have a lot of devotion naturally in this planet. Uranus is very focused on the spirituality and the technology of things and making sure that there's a route for that. So when they decide to emotionally bind or use their feelings towards you, they're going to be very, very consistent. They're going to be very happy to be consistent, and the detachment comes from not wanting to overwhelm or sabotage relationships. An example is Germaine Greer, who's the author of The Female Eunuch and the promoter of unconventional sexual lifestyles. This individual had their Vesta in the sign of Aquarius conjunct her ascendant. So right in the first house, again, when you have any of these sexual asteroids, or if you have Venus or Mars in the first house, it's going to make you a very sexual person. It's going to make you objectively sexual to other people, even if you are practicing things like celibacy. People are going to feel that energy. They're going to feel that energy right away, and they're going to want to either speak on it or initiate on it. You also might have experienced trauma based on having placements like this. Last but not least, we're going to go to Vesta in the sign of Pisces. So these souls best focus their work by servicing or serving other people. This goes in the bedroom as well. They really want to please their partner first in hopes of getting the same treatment. It's very rare that signs or people know that, so I recommend always teaching people how to love you in the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, in friendships, in all of your relationships. You want to teach people how to treat you, how to touch you, how to love you fully. And you have to give them instructions, and you have to be willing to give those instructions multiple times, because we are all very different and unique, and teaching someone how to love you can be a challenging thing, especially if they are coming from other people or other partners. You have to give instructions. I personally love to give instructions in the bedroom, as well as in my relationships, as well as just overall when I teach someone how to properly honor and respect me. So I invite you to do the same thing with this Vesta placement. And even if you do not have this Vesta placement, I invite you to try this out. This person can play the role of a martyr or an actor or actress for you. They will feel responsible for any type of suffering or pain that's inflicted, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in a relationship. This person might feel like his or her sexuality belongs to whoever needs it. So this can turn into someone who's a harem or a whore, or someone who, gets called that, even though energetically they really just want to serve and help people. And that can come through in the form of sex. That can come through in the form of a connection in work. This can come through in the form of, being used as a friend. There's so many ways to look at this placement. So the integration of this placement would really stem from blending the dreams into reality. So having Pisces placements in love or in work settings, it's going to be really a lot of visualization about what it is that you want and how you want it. And again, teaching people how to give it to you so that you can also give at a proper level, at a high level. An example is Robert Graves, whose inspiration is reflected by his Vesta in the sign of Pisces, which is opposing the moon. Again, that opposing opposite is like, I see you over there looking at me and you see me looking at you. And it's like it's a respect. So Robert Graves was very focused in his vision and ideas of his poetic works. So you can see an example of this individual using their Vesta sexual energy, spiritual flame energy to create poetry, and create poetry for that longing, that, essential, helpfulness. And really, as we go through the signs here, this is a huge reminder to really love on all of the placements in your chart. Anytime you say anything negative towards your own chart, that's actually, a form of self-hate. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason why I'm going through each of the signs deliberately the way I am is to remind yourself that you have to love yourself. If you tell yourself that you do not love yourself, that will radiate off of you, and you will attract people who secretly hate you. You will attract people who secretly deny you. You will attract people who do not want you long term because you may not want yourself long term. So really stand inside of whatever placements you find in yourself, on yourself, in your chart, whether that's tropical, sidereal. Picking the one that really makes the most sense for you is going to be helpful. The main difference between tropical astrology and sidereal is tropical astrology is the idea that the earth is still, and we are consistently looking at the sun and all the planets are moving around us. In sidereal, it's the idea that the earth is also in orbit and moving, and we are the planets are fixed. The planets are a fixed thing, and the earth is constantly shifting through. So this is really helpful to know, just for your own perspective and understanding what is good for you and how things can be really helpful for you in reaching and obtaining your twin flame, in obtaining, a better creative version of yourself, one that can be more in alignment with what it is that you want and what it is that you deserve. Next, let's go through the houses. I think that's going to be an important piece. So Vesta in the first house is going to be dedication to relationship with yourself. In the second house, it's going to represent itself as, generating income, resources. In the third house, it's going to be focused in on your mind. In the fourth house, it's going to be a dedication to your family. In the fifth house, it's going to be a dedication to your creative expression. In the sixth house, it's going to be focused in on your work efficiency and your health. In your seventh house, it's going to be focused in on dedicating your love and attention and your work to other people. In the eighth house, it's going to be focused on dedicating things, your energy to psychic or occult knowledge and just studying. In the ninth house, it's going to be dedication to seeking your truth. and understanding and giving out wisdom to other people. In the 10th house is going to indicate a dedication to your career and your position of authority and how you allow other people to view that, feel that. In the 11th house, it's going to be a dedication to a group or a community where you can help orchestrate and lead ideas and see them through. In the 12th house is going to imply a dedication to selfless service, giving oneself, giving one's time, resources, and allowing, the isolation and the retreat to come through the act of giving and seclusion. So those are the placements for the planets as well as the houses. On my Patreon, I'll be going through the actual aspects. So if you have aspecting planets to your Vesta, go ahead and join the Patreon. I'll go more in depth as to what the aspects can do for you in the next few days. In the meantime, if you are, if you stayed here this long, just a reminder, this will be up on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Ascend Space Sun on YouTube. It's also on my account. So make sure you go ahead and follow up with that. I'll be making videos about Vesta soon, but I just wanted to come on here today real quick and just get back into the swing of things. For the last 3 weeks, I've kind of been working through some things internally, learning and practicing what these signs are for myself. And now I also have some books to really supplement that. So I'll be taking it a step further for those of you who want to actually obtain, a creative aspect of yourself or attract your twin flame and go on this journey with me. And whether you're using tropical or sidereal, whichever one aligns with you, they're both really just different calculation systems. Whichever one you want to work with, either way, it's going to tap in on your energy and help you understand how to use astrology versus just knowing it. And I think that's going to be the one thing that really differentiates your experience from what you're used to. So gratitude on everything. Again, if you just got in here, I did speak on twin flames already at the beginning of the video. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This video will be up there. Let me look through your questions, see if there's any really solid questions in here before I take off. All right. Cool. All right, I don't see too many questions about Vesta or anything, but 100%, go check out astro.com or astro-seek. Hit the link in my bio. There's a calculator there for you too, so that you can figure out your Vesta placement. I am gonna go do something to make myself feel better, and I will catch up with you all